Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where you'll hear stories about people who think they deserve more than others because they're special. Guys, I hope you're having another great day today, and you know what you're in for. As always, the stories will get more entitled as they go on in this episode, so hold on guys, because we're diving in. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future stories, and Dark Fluff plushies, guys. If you want a Dark Fluff plushie, I'll post a link if you're interested. With that said, let's dive into the stories. Okay, so I've had to tell one of my employees to no longer let his wife contact me directly after this. We sometimes need to travel for work, and when COVID hit last year, we were stuck with lots of unused airline tickets. The airlines have given us a credit, but they're in the name of the passenger. So while I paid for their tickets, it's each employee who gets the credit. Talking with our clients, it appears that we're going to be meeting virtually for the foreseeable future. And rather than let the credits expire and have no value after December 30th, I told our team that they can use it for personal travel. I'd rather see them use it for a vacation than for them to let it go to waste. Remember, the credit is only in the same name of the original passenger, nobody else. So my employees can use them for themselves, but not other people, like spouses, children, etc. So after announcing this, I got an email from the same entitled wife, who contacted me asking for a free color printer earlier this year. So she told me she thought it was nice that I gave the employees the option to use the company paid tickets for personal travel. But she told me it's only good for her husband, not her and not their kids. She was wondering if I would consider offering some sort of a deal for them, like buy them all plane tickets so they could all go on vacation together. Now, I thought that this was ridiculous, that she apparently thought that what I was doing wasn't good enough. So I emailed back with a curt, "No, this was offered as a token of appreciation for the hard work that everybody's doing. Going forward, please do not contact me in the future unless it's an emergency regarding your husband." I then called my employee and told him that unless it's some emergency involving his grave illness or death, I don't want his wife emailing or calling me ever again. He was very apologetic and said she'd written to me without his knowledge. You know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Oh my goodness, that poor employee. I can't even imagine the embarrassment that his wife caused him. And this is the second time, guys. The first time was a free color printer, oh my goodness, which got turned down, so she decided to ask for a free vacation for her family instead. Like seriously, if OP didn't tell her not to email him again, she might have asked for a free house next, who knows? So, I'm a 30-year-old female and have an autoimmune arthritis condition. I walk with a cane. On bad days, I can barely walk at all, and I have a handicap placard for those days. So, I had to go grocery shopping a while ago and was in no condition to be walking a long way. Not a code red pain day, but definitely up there. When I got there, all the handicap spots were full, but I saw an older gentleman loading his trunk and I knew that spot would soon be available. So I pulled up and put on my blinkers and waited. Soon as he was gone, I pulled into the spot. I threw up my blue placard and began hauling myself out of the car. I'm just about to close the door when I hear, "Excuse me." I look over and see a teal SUV pulled up behind me. There's this woman in the driver's seat yelling out the open passenger window at me. She says, "Hey, you just took my spot." I told her, "What? No, I was waiting behind the other guy. I didn't see you." She replied, "No, these are handicap spots. They're only for handicapped people." Now, I'm literally leaning against my car with my cane in hand, and I hold up the cane saying, yeah, that's me. I'm handicapped. I have a permit." So the woman scoffs and pulls away. I decide to just forget about her and begin hobbling into the store. I got even more frustrated when I saw that there were no electric carts available, so I was forced to grab one of those smaller trolleys and walk. Since I have a hard time pushing the cart one-handed, I put my cane inside the cart. I was only as far as the produce section when I hear a familiar voice say, "Hey you." I look up and it's the woman again. She's pushing one of those big carts that look like cars for the kids. She also had an infant and a toddler strapped into the front of the cart. Another kid who's about 2 years old standing bouncing in the cart, and yet another child holding her hand, walking beside her. He looked to be about 5 years old, and she's also very pregnant. At this point, she stalks up to me with this pissed off expression and she says, You need to learn to be more respectful. I was waiting for that parking spot and you stole it. You're lucky I don't make you leave that spot." She's talking and yelling over her kids, who are all fussing loudly. I told her, "Lady, I didn't see you waiting for that spot. If you were, I apologize." She says, "I was waiting for it. I needed a spot close to the entrance. Because of you, I had to park all the way towards the back." I told her, well, I said I was sorry. I then look over to her group of kids real quick and say, "Besides, that was a handicap spot. You can only park there with a permit. Are one of your kids handicapped?" She says, "No. Look at me. I'm pregnant. I can barely walk." Lady, you can't use a disabled parking spot just because you're pregnant. Not unless you have some sort of complications that affect your mobility." She then says, "No, you can use them if you're pregnant. I always use them." I told her, "Yeah, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. You're lucky you haven't gotten a ticket for not having a permit displayed." The woman then huffs and says, "Do you have kids?" I told her no. "Have you been pregnant?" I told her no again. She says, "See, you're not pregnant, and you clearly don't have kids. You wouldn't know what it's like. It's just so uncomfortable having a baby inside you." So at this point, I tell her, "No, I'm not pregnant. I don't have kids, but I am freaking disabled. It's uncomfortable being me. I have severe arthritis." So this whole conversation, I've been leaning on my cart for support. I pull my cane out for her to see and say, "I can barely walk 10 feet without pain. That's why I have a handicap permit." She then says, "That's no excuse. You can't be in that much pain. I've been up all night with a colicky baby, okay? A colicky baby. And couldn't keep anything down because of morning sickness. I'm exhausted. My feet are killing me. You don't know what it's like wrangling 4 kids while pregnant. I clearly needed that spot more than you did." At this point, I'm more than done with this whole argument. I said, "Look, lady, I'm in pain. I'm tired, and I just want to finish my shopping so I can go home and try to work up the will to make dinner tonight. I didn't see you waiting for that damn parking spot, okay? And you shouldn't be using it without a permit anyway." I then try to walk away, and she says, "You don't know what tired is. Try having a screaming kid around all day." I told her, "Listen, lady, I'm allowed to park there. I didn't choose to become disabled, but you chose to have kids. It's not my fault you're tired and run down and can't be bothered to walk the extra 200 feet to the door. It's not my fault you chose to get pregnant 4 times. You deal with your life, I will deal with mine." I then hobbled off to try to finish my shopping. I ignored her and her parting comments. The fight gave me just enough adrenaline to get me through my trip without falling apart. I had an assistant help load my vehicle, and I was still pissed when I got home. But it was nothing a long soak in the tub couldn't fix. Guys, that was absolutely unreal, just when you thought you've heard it all. She definitely did not need to hear this friggin' Karen's life story of how she has it so hard. Like, yeah, being pregnant is for sure uncomfortable, and with kids, for sure you're tired, but that doesn't make you more deserving than a disabled person. Come on, Karen, come on. Honestly though, people like her, you don't even need to waste your breath for. OP did not owe her any damn explanation. She had a placard, she pulled into that spot first, plain and simple, and she deserved to park there. End of story. So background. My husband and I had to move in with his grandparents when I lost both of my jobs and my husband's work contract ended. It actually worked out well. They're in their 70s, and we're in late 20s, and we jumped in with helping them around the house, picking up groceries, yard work, and overdue deep cleaning. They let us bring both of our dogs and cats. They are wonderful, amazing people. While we were looking for jobs, we helped with bills, and now that we both work again, we're looking at buying a house, and things are still wonderful amongst us all. Now, during lockdown, we ran errands for them and a lot of their friends, mostly neighbors who were also seniors and high risk. We never took a payment for gas or anything. We only accepted money for groceries, because we can't afford to feed 10 families on our savings. One of these families lived about 15 minutes away, and were grandparents' old neighbors of 25 years. They remained friends during the 7 years or so of not being next door, and often talked on the phone or saw each other. We will call them Karen and Bob. They seemed pretty normal. They were always grateful when we dropped off groceries, and even understanding when the stores were out of certain things or specific brands. Bob doesn't really say or do much, it's Karen who's the loudmouth. Go figure. Now, this problem actually started a month ago, when grandparents decided that they wanted the driveway and sidewalks pressure washed. I learned how to do it and I fell in love with it. Now, it's nothing fancy, just a basic model pressure washer, but it was so satisfying. It took me 2 days to finish the driveway, and I offered to do a lot of the neighbors too that I'd met with when I dropped off groceries. I was only working one job and had a lot of free time, so it was no problem. Most of the time, they'd bring me out a snack and a drink and we'd chat when I took a break. It was great, and then enters Karen and Bob. So Karen and Bob were scheduled to come for dinner. I was finishing up a house a few doors down the street when I saw their car coming and waved. I finished up the job and rolled the washer back home. I showered and we all had dinner when Karen asked why I'd been working down the street. I basically told them that I just liked doing it. Now, I thought nothing of it when she remarked that their driveway could use a good washing. And I agreed to do it on my days off over the course of a week or two, but I'd sleep in so I'd get a late morning start. She said that was fine. The next day at 8 a.m., I'm at work when Karen calls. She says, "Where are you?" I told her I'm at work. Is everything okay? She says, "I thought you were gonna wash our driveway." I told her I am. I'm off in 2 days and I'll get right on it. She says, "Oh, okay, I guess that's fine." I then hang up confused. 2 days later, 8 a.m., another call. She says, "Are you on your way?" So me, in bed, I told her I worked till 2 a.m. last night. My alarm is set for 10 o'clock, so I'll be there by 11. Karen says, "You said you'd wash the driveway today." I told her, and I will. I will be there about 11 o'clock. She then says, "Oh, well, I was hoping you'd get started early." I then tell her I can do 10 o'clock. So I get up earlier, eat, and haul the washer up a ramp into a truck and head off to Karen's house. Now, Karen has a huge driveway. One of those upside down U half loop ones that's double wide for 2 cars and is really long. So I'm there for about 3 hours. It's 97 degrees outside and climbing, 100% humidity, and I go through my water bottle. So I turn off the washer and knock on the door and ask to fill my water bottle. Karen says, "You didn't bring any water? Why would you not bring water when you know it's a hot day and you're doing work?" Me, laughing because it's Florida and I think she's joking, say, No, it's just really hot out and I'm out of water. Can I fill it up with some ice water, please?" Karen is visibly irritated and she sighs and says, "Ugh, I guess." So I go back out and work for another couple of hours. I'm probably a third of the way done when I call it a day. I'm hot, I'm tired, my left hand hurts from clenching the trigger, she's being weird about water, and I'm hungry. So I go and unhook the hose and start to load the washer up when she comes out and says, "Where are you going?" I told her I'm going home. I'll be back in a couple of days when I have my next day off. She says, No, you need to finish." I'm sorry, what? You need to finish my driveway. Why would you leave halfway? Why would you let me stare at a half-dirty, half-clean driveway? I told her I'll come back. I just can't finish it today. It'll take me another 10 hours or so to finish. So at this point, Karen makes a fuss, telling me there's no way it can take another 10 hours. But I'm adamant that I'm leaving. I need to eat, rehydrate, and the washer's almost out of gas anyway. Now, keep in mind that I'm not a professional. I'm not a company. I don't have employees or a partner in business. I don't even have an industrial strength machine. I'm just some girl with a lot of free time with a small washer that thinks it's fun and doesn't mind helping people. Now, I should have stayed gone. So I get a voicemail the next day at work saying how Karen and her husband are both unhappy that their driveway looks half finished, blah blah blah. Then, the next day, Karen calls and texts me multiple times, which I ignore, saying I can't talk, I'll be there tomorrow. My phone then starts ringing off the hook the next day at 7:30 with, "Are you coming at 8 o'clock? Please be here by 8 o'clock. Don't forget water." I call back saying, "Hey Karen, there's a thunderstorm right now and it's supposed to last most of the day. If it clears up, I'll come over for a while, but I'm not doing it in thunder and lightning." She says, "You promised you'd come today. The driveway looks awful." I tell her I'm sorry, but it's not safe to be out there with a pressure washer in a thunderstorm. She then tells me she expects me to be there tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I tell her I work tomorrow. I can come the day after. So Karen has the bright idea that I can call off work because she hired me to do her driveway and I haven't finished it yet. I tell her no, I'll be there in 2 days. Cue 2 more days of passive-aggressive voicemail and messages. But I show up with a cooler of ice water and food. I work another 5 hours with her peering through her window at me anytime I turn the washer off. There was no friendly chit-chat, no drinks or snacks offered, not that I expected it, but still. The only talking we did was when I took a lunch break and she opened her door long enough to ask what I was doing, why I'm not working, and if I could not sit on her porch steps. Now, that was the only shaded place to sit, so I sat on my tailgate in the sun and scarfed down my lunch. I packed up that day with about 4 more hours of washing to do. Again, huge friggin' driveway versus tiny little washer. I get home exhausted, and grandparents asked if I have a second to chat after my shower. Apparently, Karen called them multiple times saying that I was being lazy, and instead of working hard to finish in half the time, I just sat around her house taking breaks, drinking too much water, and eating food. She was apparently upset that I didn't finish fast enough because she did not want me on her property. Now, it took me almost a week to get back there, and every single day I would receive constant texts and calls about how I was slacking, how I was a bad person for saying that I'd help people, and then leaving them to finish such a laboring task. I went back to finish the driveway in one shot. I didn't speak one word to Karen and only spoke to Bob to tell him I was finished and returning his garden hose. They never even said thank you. I went home happy to be done. Chalked it up to a lesson learned and just avoid Karen when they came over. We're moving out soon anyway. Bob and Papa were really good friends, and Mimi and Karen were really good friends. Who cares if they didn't like me? Well, remember how I said grandparents are just super amazing people? They cared, and they cared a lot that I was giving up my days off, coming home exhausted, being used and lied about. So one day, they were gonna have lunch at Karen's house when Karen met them out front and lamented on their driveway being, quote, full of brown spots that I had missed, and she demanded they make me come back and fix it. And how I hadn't pressure washed the porch or the steps or the friggin' house. She expected me to pressure wash the outside of her house. So Papa knows that I pride myself on my work, paid or not, and I'm really OCD with the washer. That's why I like it so much. So he asked her to see the spots I'd missed, and she starts pointing out brown rocks. Brown rocks in the concrete of her driveway. This woman really thought that pressure washing the rocks would make them match the concrete, and due to that, it meant that I was too lazy to do it right. Now, I didn't get exact words from my grandparents, but Karen had a meltdown about my husband and I being leeches, which landed them in an argument that ended both friendships, and lunch being cancelled and the end of the story, or so I thought. So this was all a month ago, but I'm writing this now because Karen have both reached out to me and my grandparents, not to patch things up or apologize or even say thank you. They want us, or me specifically, to pay them because their water bill went up because I used their water hose to run the pressure washer to wash their driveway. The only response they got was a written out receipt from me for my hourly rate times. I put the number of hours I was there for the driveway. I also counted picking up their groceries and running errands, a rental fee for the washer per day, and the total gas I spent running the pressure washer. I also left a note at the bottom saying, I will pay up when you do. Guys, this is the perfect example of giving somebody an inch and them taking a freaking mile. That's some crazy entitlement right there. Expecting someone to go above and beyond for you, and in the end, make them pay you. So if anyone's wondering, OP comes back with a comment detailing the total expenses. It comes out to $2,416. Her grandparents also sounded like such wonderful people who really cared for her. I love how they sacrificed a 25-year friendship for their granddaughter. You gotta ask though, if a 25-year friendship is ruined over something like this, was it really a good friendship to begin with? And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, we made it! Once again, thanks for hanging out and listening to these wild stories. If you missed the last episode, I'll link it right here. OP's husband's family evicts her after he dies. Guys, it's a wild story, so check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.